Well, our objective, as we call it, was to capture the fortified chateau. And Maizieres had some German emplacements that was blocking the route to attack Metz. And before the attack on Metz could take place, Maizieres had to be taken. And we were assigned the objective of capturing the chateau. We had run patrols around it for about a week, so we thought we knew quite a bit about it. It had a fence around it, had a moat outside. The Germans had put barbed wire around it, and had extensive minefields out in front. And we lost about half the company in less than 24 hours because the first attack was made about 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and the last attack, where they captured the chateau, was taken about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So that was less than 24 hours. It wasn't very good. Pat just didn't want to wait. And I think he was just one of those fellows that said, let's go, go, go. And I agree with that mostly, but sometimes you have to back off a little bit. But a lot of the things I say now about the war and about what happened is what I learned by going to our reunions. You talk to soldiers who came after you, you talk to some of the officers who knew what was going on. I was a private. I mean, you never know. I met him in the Army at I Company when we were both assigned there. He came from a different university. He was at the same program. He was in the Army Specialized Training Program. But he had been in there longer than me. And in fact, he's, I guess, 2 years older than me, and he was in the Army ahead of me, and he was assigned to the 35th Infantry Division. And then when they wanted men to go to the Specialized Training Program, they looked at his records and found that he had a high enough test score to go there, so they took him out of the 35th Division and sent him up to Carnegie Tech, where I was, but he was ahead of me. And I didn't meet him until we were both assigned to I Company, and we bunked next to each other. So we've been friends for a long time. He was wounded about 15 minutes after I was. And when I got wounded, I was calling for the medic. I don't think we had a medic with us. Of course, all this firing and artillery and flares are going off and men yelling. And I'm calling for the medic, and he walks by me and he tells me to shut up, you're not even hurt. And he goes on. And then it wasn't until about 10 years after the war when he came down to visit me in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We were out walking one evening, and he says to me, do you remember what I said to you when you were hit? I said, you're damn right I remember. And we've been friends. He and I, when we went on patrol, we were always together, always together.
Patrol?
Yeah, patrol. He and I were together, no matter what we did. And we had a system in the Army, like a buddy system. You linked up with somebody that whatever you did together. In other words, you protect each other if you could. And so he refers to us as foxhole buddies. We had a replacement platoon leader who come up, about a day before the attack began, or less than that. And when they were talking about the attack, the lieutenant said, has anybody here fired a bazooka? And old buddy Bauer says, oh, I fired a bazooka when I was with the 35th Division. I said, oh, buddy, don't say that, don't say that. So they gave him the bazooka and assigned 2 other soldiers to carry the ammunition. And he was wounded by artillery fire, and the 2 ammunition carriers were killed. And he said he was trying to get back, and nobody would help him. And I told him after the war, hell, you didn't want to help me. Why should anybody help you? Yeah, they took me to the aid station at first. And the doctor said to me, you're in pretty good shape. I didn't have any shock or anything. And he gave me some brandy. And I said to him, how about another one? He said, no, one was all you get. And then they took me to another hospital, I guess evacuation hospital, and did whatever they did to my leg. I don't really remember. And there were about 5 of us in the same tent. Ceo and a fellow called Charlie Coleman, Dick Ross, Bob Ross, and a couple others. So we were talking together, and then I got gangrene, and I got sick, and I didn't feel very well, and I didn't eat, and I didn't talk. So Bauer knew something was wrong with me, so then they took me back in, and then they amputated my leg because it had gangrene in it. I can still remember the doctor who did it. I could only see his eyeglass. I remember his eyeglasses, and he had a mask on and over his head, and all that was shown with his eyeglasses. And he told me, he said, I don't remember if he said amputate or cut your leg off. He said, we're going to do that. And I said to him, do you really have to? I said, I'm a tennis player. And he said, yes, we have to do it to save your life. So I told him, okay, do it. They would have done it anyway, but at the time, I was probably heavily sedated. They could have cut my throat, and I wouldn't have cared because I was completely at ease and everything. So, and I thought nothing was going to happen to me. I figured I'd go through the whole war. And when I got wounded and hit, I said, I was really surprised. I mean, that was my first reaction. Man, I'm hit. And I couldn't believe it. I said, not supposed to happen to me. Maybe him and him and him, but not me. And I guess if you didn't have that attitude, or an attitude like some of my friends had, that they were going to keep going until they got killed, and that's exactly what happened to them. And there are a few that made it all the way through, not very many. I guess you had to have certain kind of luck or whatever it is. But part of me's still in France, so I tell people I got a connection with France. Oh, yeah. I got part of me buried over there somewhere, someplace. Anyway.